Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I actually want to start today with a question that kind of keeps me up at night sometimes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit philosophical, but it really hits you right in the gut when you're just staring at the ceiling at like 3 in the morning.
I know the feeling. What's the question?
Do you believe in fate, or do you believe in the turning point?
Wow. That's a heavy way to start a Tuesday, but I know exactly what you mean. We're talking about determinism versus free will.
Right.
Yeah.
We look at history or even just the messy lives of our friends, and we say, oh, well, that divorce was inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Or, that business was always going to fail. And it's comforting, right? It's like gravity.
Yeah, if you drop the apple, it falls.
Exactly. Nobody's to blame. It's just physics.
It absolves everyone of responsibility. Like if the car crash was just written in the stars and the driver didn't really make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a very Greek tragedy way of looking at the world. Oedipus was doomed before he was even born.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you have the opposing idea, which is, frankly, terrifying.
The turning point.
The turning point. The realization that actually, no, the disaster wasn't inevitable. There was a specific moment.
Like a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. Or maybe a single sentence spoken in a coffee shop where a choice was made. A fork in the road.
And if they had just gone left instead of right, the entire universe would look totally different today for them.
The sliding doors moment. And that is exactly what we are deep diving into today. We're looking at a stack of sources centering on one specific document.
Okay.
It's the history and the critical analysis of the Breaking Bad episode titled Gray Matter.
Gray Matter, which is season 1, episode 5.
Right.
And, for a show that ran for 62 episodes focusing so heavily on episode 5 might seem a bit premature.
It might.
But the source material is absolutely adamant that this is the keystone of the whole story.
It really is. Our mission for you today is to figure out why the series creator, Vince Gilligan, points to this specific hour of television as a moment Walter White truly breaks bad.
Which is a massive claim.
Huge.
Because if you ask a casual fan, when does Walt break bad? They might say, oh, in the pilot when he kills Crazy 8.
Or when he blows up Tuco's office.
Right. Or when he shaves his head.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But Gilligan says no. He points right to gray matter. And our goal is to really unpack the complex layers of pride, family dynamics, and frankly, the tragic rejection of salvation that are all hidden in this plot summary.
We are going to look at exactly why a man would choose a meth lab over a corner office.
Yes. But before we get into the heavy psychological profiling, let's just set the scene a bit. We need to ground ourselves in the reality of when this was made.
Good idea. Looking at the production notes in the source here, Gray Matter was written by Patty Lynn and directed by Trisha Brock.
Mm-hmm.
And it originally aired on February 24th, 2008.
2008. The world was so different. I mean, smartphones were barely a thing.
The economy was just about to crash.
And Breaking Bad, it wasn't a cultural juggernaut yet.
Not at all. It was just this weird, quirky show on AMC that people were maybe just starting to whisper about.
Nobody knew Walter White was going to become Heisenberg.
Exactly. To the audience in 2008 looking at this episode, Walt was just a sad, struggling high school teacher. We were all rooting for him to find a way out.
We wanted him to win. And that is what makes this deep dive so painful. Because the way out actually arrives.
It pulls right up in a convertible.
It really does.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the narrative. The episode opens with a setting that is jarringly different from the rest of the show.
Usually with Breaking Bad, we are in these gritty textures, the desert sand, the dirty linoleum of the RV, the fluorescent lights of the classroom.
Or the car wash. Everything is just beige and dusty.
Exactly. But here we open at a birthday party. And not just a backyard barbecue with paper plates. This is high society.
Yeah, the source describes it as a party for Elliott Schwartz. And it literally calls him a wealthy acquaintance.
Wealthy acquaintance.
I feel like wealthy acquaintance is the most polite way possible to say the guy who has the life you wish you had.
That is the subtext, isn't it? Elliott isn't just rich. He is the owner of Gray Matter Technologies.
The company that gives the episode its title.
Right. And the source implies a very deep history here. Walt and Elliott were likely partners, maybe even close friends once upon a time.
But look at the contrast now. Walt and Skyler show up. Walt is driving his beat-up Pontiac Aztek. He's wearing that awful beige jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And they walk into this stunning mansion.
It's a total sensory overload for Walt. He is surrounded by champagne hors d'oeuvre people in expensive suits laughing about stocks and patents.
And remember, Walt is secretly dying of lung cancer.
Yeah.
He's secretly cooking crystal meth in a mobile home just to leave his family a few bucks.
He must feel like a complete alien in that room.
He feels tiny. The source notes that this environment really emphasizes Walt's perceived failure.
Because he is a high school teacher? Elliott is a titan of industry. They started at the exact same starting line, but Elliott is winning the race by a mile.
And you just know Skyler's probably thrilled to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to be out of the house,
Yeah.
to be around civilized people for an afternoon.
For Skyler, this is a breath of fresh air. But for Walt, it is suffocation. And that friction leads us to the catalyst of the entire episode, the proposal.
The proposal. This is the moment where the universe, quite literally, offers Walter White a golden ticket.
So Elliott and Walt are talking, and Elliott offers Walt a job.
Now, pause right here.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself in Walt's shoes, but remove the ego for just a second.
Okay.
You are broke. You are sick. You are terrified for your family's future.
Desperate.
Right. And your old friend says, come work for me. I will pay you a great salary. You can do real chemistry again.
On paper, it is the miracle solution. It solves every single problem Walt has.
Every single one.
He doesn't have to be a criminal. He doesn't have to be afraid of getting caught or killed. He can provide for his family totally legally.
It is the happily ever after ending right there in episode 5.
But the devil is always in the details. The source highlights a very specific thing Elliott mentions during this job offer.
Yeah, this is crucial.
He doesn't just talk about the salary. He doesn't just talk about the exciting research opportunities in the lab.
What does he say?
He specifically tells Walt that Gray Matter Technologies has excellent health insurance.
Oh, excellent health insurance.
Now, why would you mention the benefits package in a casual conversation with an old friend at a birthday party?
That is the record scratch moment. That is the moment the music stops.
Exactly. It changes the entire texture of the conversation, because if I offer you a job because you're a genius, that's validation. That feeds your ego.
Right.
But if I offer you a job and immediately pivot to, we have great health coverage,
You know I'm sick.
and I know you're sick, and I'm offering you a life raft.
And for Walter White, being offered a life raft is an insult.
It stops being a job offer and starts being charity. And the source is very clear on Walt's reaction here. It says he realizes that Skyler told Elliott about his cancer.
The betrayal.
Yeah.
In Walt's mind, this isn't serendipity at all. This is a setup. Skyler went behind his back, cried to the rich friends, and begged for a handout.
He feels managed. He feels completely exposed.
Expose is the perfect word.
For a man whose entire self-worth is tied to his intellect, to being the smartest guy in any room, being the object of pity is a fate worse than death.
It's interesting you say worse than death because, spoilers, he literally chooses the risk of death over this.
He does. The source notes that he outright declines the offer.
Yeah.
And not only does he decline, he gets upset with her, meaning Skyler.
He is furious.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, and I think every listener screams this at their screen, why? Just take the money, Walt.
I know.
Swallow your pride. It's legal. It's safe. Why is the ego so strong that he cannot just take a check?
That is the central question of the character. Is it simple arrogance or is it something deeper? You really have to remember the name of the company, Gray Matter.
Right. Gray, White, and Schwartz.
Sure.
Schwartz is German for black, so white plus black equals gray.
Exactly. Walt helped build the very foundation of this company. He likely feels that this wealth should have been his.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, Elliott is living his life. So taking a job at a company you helped found as the subordinate to the man who is reaping all the rewards.
That feels like admitting total defeat.
Right.
It's not just a handout. It's a daily reminder of his own failure to launch. He'd be an employee in his own kingdom.
Precisely. So he rejects it. He actively chooses the uncertainty of cancer and the immense danger of the drug trade over the safety of subordination.
Which leads immediately to the fallout at home. Because Skyler's not going to take this lying down.
No. And
Right.
why would she? From her perspective, her husband is basically committing suicide by pride, so she organizes an intervention.
The intervention. This scene is so iconic. It's not a shootout. It's not a car chase in the desert.
Oh,
It's a family sitting in a beige living room passing a talking pillow around.
the talking pillow. It's such a distinctively Skyler White detail. It's therapeutic, it's organized, and it drives Walt absolutely insane.
Let's break down the factions in this room because the source maps out the family dynamic perfectly here. It's really a war of perspectives.
First, you have Skyler.
Skyler is team survival.
The source describes her as simply worried. She does not understand Walt's refusal. To her, it's completely irrational.
The equation is simple for her. Treatment equals life. Refusal equals death. Why would you choose death?
Right. She thinks he's depressed. She thinks he's in shock. She's just trying to manage him into staying alive.
Then you have Walt Jr.
The son. And he's not just sad. The source explicitly says he is angered.
That's a really key emotion. He feels his father is refusing treatment despite everything he's been through.
To a teenage boy, this looks like giving up. It looks like weakness.
He's basically saying, you're quitting on us.
You're a coward. That is a heavy, heavy burden for a father to hear from his own son.
So far, the room is completely against Walt. Skyler is pushing, Junior's pushing. You fully expect the other two people in the room to just join the pile-on?
Hank and Murray?
Right. Hank, the DEA agent, the tough guy. And Marie, the incredibly opinionated sister-in-law. You expect them to say, Walt, man up, take the medicine.
But this is where the writing really shines. The source notes, surprisingly, they take a different stance.
They peel off.
They do. They argue that Walt should have the choice to decline treatment if he wants.
This is fascinating to me. Hank pivots to this very libertarian individualist perspective. He's basically saying it's his life. He's a grown man. If he wants to go out on his own terms, let him.
It completely destabilizes Skyler's plan. She thought she was building a coalition to force Walt into safety.
But instead, the room fractures.
Marie and Hank pivot to personal autonomy.
Why do you think Hank does that? Is it just some weird male bonding thing?
I think part of it is that Hank deals with criminals and addicts all day, people who have completely lost control of their lives.
That makes sense.
He respects agency. He respects a man making a call, even if it's a bad call. He's saying, don't treat him like a child.
And Walt just seizes on that. He sees an opening.
He does. He gives a speech that is really the thesis statement for his early season character.
Yeah.
The text says Walt ends the intervention by saying he does not want to spend his last months being too sick to properly enjoy life.
The quality over quantity argument.
He paints this visceral picture of being an invalid, of choking down pills, of being too weak to stand up. He says, I want to live, not just exist.
And honestly, if you just read that transcript without knowing he's a meth cook, without knowing about the ego,
You'd agree with him?
you'd say, you know what, that's incredibly brave.
It is a totally valid philosophical stance. We discuss this in bioethics all the time.
Right.
But we have to view this in the context of what happened at the birthday party. Is it really just about not being sick, or is it about control?
It's entirely about control.
Yeah.
He feels like the cancer is controlling him, Skyler's controlling him, Elliott is trying to control him. This refusal is the only thing he has left.
Exactly. He is using quality of life as a shield to protect his pride.
But then something shifts. The source says the morning after Walt has a change of heart.
Or so it seems.
He walks into the kitchen. He tells Skyler he will do the treatment.
He relents.
But, and here is the massive but, he adds a caveat.
He claims he will take care of Elliott's check.
Okay, we need to unpack this. He agrees to the treatment, which costs an absolute fortune.
Mm-hmm.
He knows Skyler wants him to take Elliott's money. So he tells her, I'll do the treatment, and implies I'll handle the financial side with Elliott.
It calms Skyler down instantly. It resolves the immediate family conflict. She thinks she has won.
She thinks, okay, we're safe. The rich friend is paying my husband is going to live.
But it's a lie. It is the first brick in the wall of lies that is going to separate him from his family forever.
Which brings us to the section of our outline labeled The Lie. And this is what the source essentially refers to as the true break.
Because he has to actually deal with the Schwartz family now. He can't just ghost them.
Right. So we have the phone call. Walt speaks with Gretchen Schwartz. This is Elliott's wife.
And again, the source hints at the history here. There is deep tension there.
Gretchen calls him. She is insistent. She tells him he has to accept the money.
She is trying to force the life raft into his hands. She's saying, Walt, don't be an idiot. Take the money.
And what does Walt do?
He lies.
He lies directly to Gretchen.
He tells her that he appreciates the offer, but claims his insurance will now cover it.
Thanks, but no thanks. I'm covered.
So let's map the flow of information here because it is a complete shell game. Skyler thinks Elliott is paying.
Right.
Gretchen and Elliott think the insurance is paying.
Right.
And the reality,
Nobody is paying.
nobody is paying, which leaves Walt with a massive bill of tens of thousands of dollars and no legal way to pay it.
He has intentionally burned the bridge to the legal money. He has backed himself into a corner where crime is the only option left.
And that is exactly why Vince Gilligan points to this moment. In the pilot, the corner was real. He was trapped. I have cancer. I have no money. It was desperate.
Here he built the corner himself. He painted himself into it.
Exactly. The source notes that immediately following this rejection of legal charity, where does Walt go?
He goes to Jesse's house.
He goes back to the well.
And he asks that infamous question.
He asks Jesse if he wants to cook.
This is the moment. This is why we are here.
If we go back to the intro, we mentioned Gilligan's insight.
Huh.
He identifies this as the moment Walt breaks bad, because he turns back to making meth despite having a more ethical alternative.
That phrase, despite having a more ethical alternative, that is the ultimate indictment of Walter White.
You cannot claim self-defense when you have a safe exit. You can't claim necessity when you have a winning lottery ticket in your pocket that you refuse to cash just because you don't like the font.
It really redefines the whole series. We spend seasons rooting for him to survive, but if you look back at Gray Matter, you realize he's not fighting for survival. He is fighting for dominance.
It is entirely about ego. He would rather be a drug kingpin on his own terms than a successful chemist on someone else's dime.
That is the tragedy of Walter White crystallized in this one decision.
It's chilling when you put it that way. He had an out. He looked at the exit door and he turned around and walked deeper into the cave.
And speaking of the cave, or in this case the RV, let's look at what's happening with Jesse Pinkman while all this high-stakes drama is unfolding.
Yes, we have to talk about the B plot. The source calls this, meanwhile, the struggles of Jesse Pinkman.
Jesse is having a really rough week. The source provides this stark contrast. Walt is at birthday parties with wealthy acquaintances drinking champagne.
And Jesse is dealing with the gritty reality of his life.
The source mentions he has a failed job interview.
Which is a brief but really important detail. Jesse is trying in his own way to find legitimate work.
He puts on a suit.
He tries to be a citizen, but it fails. He doesn't fit in that world.
So much like Walt, he returns to what he knows. But Walt isn't around yet, so Jesse tries to cook with his friend Badger Mayhew.
Badger, the classic comic relief.
They go out to the desert in the RV, and this is where we really see the influence of Walt on Jesse. It's like a ghost in the machine.
It's the quality control aspect. Jesse cooks the meth, and by all accounts for a street dealer is probably fine. It's sellable.
But Jesse looks at it and realizes it is inferior to that of Walt's.
He has internalized Walt's perfectionism. He is hearing Walt's voice in his head saying, apply yourself.
The source says he throws the product away.
He tosses it. He dumps the drugs right in the sand.
And this drives Badger crazy. Badger is the audience surrogate for the low-level criminal here. He sees money being thrown in the dirt.
He's thinking, are you insane? We can sell that.
Badger is dismayed. Jesse cooks more batches. He discards them too.
It's a cycle of absolute frustration. Jesse is trying to emulate Walt's level of perfectionism, but he lacks the master chemist's skill.
He has the standards, but not the technique.
It's heartbreaking, actually. He is trying to please a father figure who isn't even there.
And this leads to conflict. The brawl. Badger and Jesse physically fight over the wasted meth.
It's such a messy, desperate scene compared to the sterile, quiet tension of the Schwartz party.
It is. And the outcome is brutal. Jesse pushes Badger out of the RV and drives away,
leaving him stranded in the desert.
Look at the parallel there. Walt alienates his family and his rich friends to maintain his pride.
And Jesse alienates his street friends because of his internalized standards.
Both of them are isolating themselves.
Exactly. They are clearing the decks. They are creating a vacuum in their lives that only the other person can fill. They are gravitating back toward each other like magnets.
It's a toxic magnetism for sure.
Now there's one more side plot we need to cover, and it involves the son, Walt Jr.
Right, the Walt Jr.'s rebellion section.
This is a smaller moment, but it is heavy with irony. Walt Jr. is outside a convenience store.
He's with two friends. And they're waiting for somebody to buy them beer.
The classic, hey, Mr. Uteen, every teenager's rite of passage.
So Walt Jr. spots a police car. Now, presumably, he doesn't realize who is inside, or maybe he thinks I can talk my way into this. The source says he approaches a policeman.
His friends are smarter, apparently. They run away.
They bolt. So Walt Jr. walks up to the cop car. He taps on the glass. And the reveal...
It's Hank. Hank is sitting in the driver's seat.
Can you imagine? You're trying to score beer underage, and you knock on the window of your uncle, the DEA agent.
It is a nightmare scenario for a teenager. But Hank handles it in typical Hank fashion. He doesn't arrest him. He doesn't call the parents immediately to scream at them.
He gives him a warning.
First and last warning. But then he says something that, knowing what we know now, just hits you in the gut.
He says, you're lucky you got a good dad here.
You're lucky you got a good dad here.
Oh, Hank, if you only knew.
It is the ultimate dramatic irony. Think about the timing. Hank says this at the exact moment Walt is likely plotting his return to the lab.
Hank sees the good dad, the teacher, the cancer patient, the family man who just agreed to treatment.
He has no idea he's looking at the mask. It highlights just how effective Walt's camouflage is at this point.
To the world, he's the sympathetic saint.
But to the audience, we are seeing the monster begin to form.
It's masterful storytelling, really. The good dad is actually the one putting the family in the most danger by rejecting the safe path. Now we've broken down the narrative, but let's zoom out. How was this episode received? Did people realize how important it was back in 2008?
It seems they did. The critical acclaim listed in the source is very strong.
IGN gave it an 8.9 out of 10.
Which is a very high score for a drama in its first season. That is amazing territory.
And the AV Club gave it an A-.
Consistent praise. But it's also interesting to look at where it falls in the rankings of the entire series, because Breaking Bad has 62 episodes, and some of them, like Ozymandias or Crawl Space, are legendary.
The Ringer ranked Gray Matter 34th out of 62.
And Vulture ranked at 37th.
So it sits comfortably in the middle. It's not the explosive finale, but it's not filler.
It is a foundational episode. You cannot build the skyscraper without this concrete slab in the basement. Without Gray Matter, the rest of the show is just an action movie. This episode gives it the psychological spine. It explains why he's doing it.
I also want to mention the production details. The source lists the specific music tracks. By Fujiya and Miyagi, and Coop Island Blues by Coop.
Those tracks really help set the tone. Breaking Bad is known for its musical choices, often using songs that are a bit off-kilter or atmospheric to underscore the internal states of the characters.
And we should give credit to the visual team. The cinematography was by Ray Villalobos, and the editing by Kelly Dixon.
Kelly Dixon's editing is particularly crucial in this series. The way scenes cut between the high tension of the White household, the silence, the stairs, and the vast emptiness of the desert, that visual language really starts to solidify here.
So we've covered the party, the offer, the intervention, the lie, the fight in the desert, and the irony of the good dad.
It's a lot for 1 hour of television.
It really is.
Yeah.
So let's try to synthesize this for you. What is the big picture here, if you had to summarize the mission of this deep dive?
The big picture is tragedy, pure and simple.
How so?
Because usually in a tragedy, the hero is doomed by fate. The gods decree it. But here, the source makes it entirely clear. Walt had an out.
The job offer.
He had excellent health insurance. He had a job offer on a platter. He had a wealthy acquaintance willing to bankroll his survival.
He could have lived. He could have been a father to Walt Jr. and the new baby. He could have been a husband to Skyler. He could have been happy.
And he chose the meth lab instead. He chose the ego.
That's the gray matter of it all, isn't it? It's not black and white. It's this gray area of pride and self-worth that destroys him.
Exactly. The title, Gray Matter, obviously refers to the company and to the brain, the intellect that Walt prizes above all else. But it also refers to this moral, murky water Walt dives into.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Something to chew on.
We know Walt rejected the offer because he realized Skyler told Elliott about the cancer. He felt pitied.
But ask yourself this. What if Skyler hadn't told Elliott?
That is the ultimate what if.
What if the offer had seemed purely based on merit? If Elliott had called Walt out of the blue and said, "Walt, you're a genius. I need your brain. Come work for me."
If the ego had been stroked instead of bruised.
Would Walt have taken it? Would he have accepted the safety if he thought he earned it?
Or was the descent into the criminal underworld inevitable? Was there something in Walt, that Heisenberg element, that needed to break bad regardless of the insurance? Was the criminal life the only thing that could ever truly satisfy that hunger for control?
That is the question. And I think the answer tells you everything about how you view Walter White. Was he a good man turned bad by circumstance? Or was he a bad man who finally found an excuse to be himself?
Indeed. It's the question that drives the whole show.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into gray matter.
Always a pleasure to explore the turning points.
We'll see you next time. Keep analyzing.
Goodbye.